Okay, the recording has started. Welcome. My name is Kevin Robinson. I'm the President and Chief Technology Officer of RTriad Enterprises in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'd like to welcome you all to our kickoff event for the National Apprenticeship Week. We're excited. We have an esteemed guest with us to help us talk about how to expand apprenticeships through tech. So I'm going to introduce her in just a second. Wanted everybody to know that we are partnered with CompTIA and the American Institute for Research. And our guest today is Megan Scott from the American Institute of Research, and she's going to give us a presentation about expanding apprenticeships into technology. So with no further ado, please go right ahead, Megan.
Thank you, Kevin. That was probably the kindest introduction I've ever had. I am Megan Scott. I'm a consultant with American Institute for Research, and I work specifically on a project called Apprenticeships for Tech. And this project is a partnership with CompTIA, which is the Technology Industry Association, and AIR, who is a nonprofit organization that conducts behavioral and social science research, as well as provides technical assistance to solve some of the world's greatest challenges. And we are partnering with the U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship, to expand registered apprenticeships in tech roles that exist in every industry and in practically every business across the country. So before I dive deep into what is apprenticeship and why do you need it, and why is it a solution for tech talent, what's your organization's tech talent reality? So I want to give you a minute to put in the chat, are you A, wanting tech workers to stick around longer in your company? Are you B, need better morale on your IT team? Or C, maybe you want better means to train and upskill your current tech workers? Or maybe you're a D and you want to spend less money on your tech talent turnover. Or E, you want to find new sources of talent and not necessarily rely on that 4-year degree as much. Or do you need to reduce your cybersecurity risks and vulnerabilities? Or are you a G? Do you want to fill your open jobs? H, want to close out IT and cybersecurity skills gaps? Or I, do you need to do better with diversity, equity, and inclusion? So take a minute, think about it. Maybe you're a couple of these things. Maybe your organization both needs to fill your open jobs, but is also looking to make sure that your talent is sticking around, and you want to invest in that talent by upskilling and training them. Or like most organizations, you have you want to respond to the increasing cybersecurity risks and vulnerabilities across the country. And you're trying to think about how to do that in a cost-effective way, and also recruit talent in order to do that as well. So feel free to put in the chat as we talk and start thinking about how apprenticeships can possibly answer some of these questions or some of these challenges that you're having in your business. So why apprenticeship? We know that the skills gap and the confidence gap that exists for tech workers are huge. And typical solutions for training tech are not necessarily meeting the need. We believe that registered apprenticeship is the talent strategy that will close the skills gap and will recruit a diverse base of talent into tech roles and provide meaningful career pathways for more people. Additionally, they enable more individuals to grow within companies. They're not just a means of recruiting new talent, it's a means of growing your talent that you currently have, making them more likely to stick around longer, and making sure that your company is agile enough to respond to the changing tech needs. It's not only a good job, but it's a pathway to a great career for a lot of people. So some of the challenges that we have seen, apprenticeships can really provide long-term solutions to, and so many those challenges that companies are really desperate for. Data tells us that 76% of IT decision makers are experiencing critical skills gaps on their tech teams. And at the same time, 57% of organizations are impacted by a worsening cybersecurity skill gap that leaves them really vulnerable. And it's only going to get worse until we start, recruiting talent to support that response to cybersecurity. So CompTIA and AIR, when we first started this partnership several years ago, looked at the data to identify the occupations that are in the highest demand, the hardest to fill, and offer the greatest opportunity to take an unskilled or lower skilled individual and really get them skilled up for tech roles. These in-demand tech roles include tech support specialists, so like your help desk technicians, your just general IT solution person, systems administrators, information security analysts, and then your IT project managers, and most recently, data analysts. We've developed a model that makes it really easy and more streamlined and more practical for businesses and other organizations to engage in registered apprenticeship programs for occupations that really lead to these mid, higher level tech roles in any business and in any industry. So let me tell you what apprenticeship is. I told you why we're responding to the tech talent shortage and the need for additional tech talent, but I didn't tell you what it is, right? Apprenticeship is an earn and learn model. And there's a lot of myths about apprenticeship, and we're going to talk about those, but I want to talk about what it is first. So it's not just work-based learning experience. It's really different from many other great opportunities that companies offer students already, internships, co-ops, things like that. It's different because an apprenticeship isn't actually a paid job. So when a company hires an apprentice, that apprentice is their employee from day one. It's also a very structured talent development program that really lets organizations hire for the most in-demand entry-level roles in IT and cybersecurity. And it provides paid employment that is matched with very rigorous industry-aligned IT training and credentials. Companies can join an existing apprenticeship program as an employer partner, and they just hire the apprentices and they provide the on-the-job training. The apprentice works with them in a cohort with other employers. Or you can create your own program and have complete control of all the elements, training, on the job, mentoring, all of that, credentials and certifications as well. Typically, tech apprenticeship programs can last from 12 to 2 years. Sorry, 12 months to 2 years, not 12 years. And they feature a specific dedicated amount of hours of real world on the job training and learning, along with dedicated hours for learning in a classroom environment, whether that be online or at a physical location where they generally get industry recognized credentials. At the end of their apprenticeship program, the employer comes out with a well-trained, highly qualified individual that they continue in their employ. And the apprentice comes out with an industry recognized, nationally recognized Department of Labor endorsed credential as well. So it's really an opportunity to both place new hires into entry-level roles, as well as a great way to upskill your existing workers, offering them career growth opportunities and helping companies retain these valued employees. In fact, it's a great way to invest in those individuals that you know have the potential, aptitude, and attitude to succeed. Though the ones that if you don't invest in them and help them get to their career path, they eventually leave for other opportunities. The retention rate of apprentices who complete apprenticeship programs is 93%, which is extraordinarily high for a talent development solution. So let's talk about those myths. Remember, I mentioned I was going to talk about those next. There's a few myths that we tend to come across when it comes to apprenticeship, especially apprenticeship in tech. So organizations will give a lot of reasons for why they don't want to do apprenticeship. And most of them are just excuses, right? And they're mostly based in myth. So apprenticeship is not just for a skilled trades like construction or manufacturing. They are a proven strategy that works great in those industries, but they also work well in tech. It's not really an altruistic or philanthropic initiative either. We're not asking you to do this out of the kindness of your heart. We're asking you to do this because we know it's a proven talent development solution, and we know you need tech talent, right? Many large companies are investing their corporate social responsibility dollars in apprenticeship because they know it's the right thing to do, but it also provides a positive return on investment. In fact, research shows, recent studies actually show that employers receive a 44% direct return on their investment, with many additional indirect returns, such as increased morale, culture, and productivity when they have a registered apprenticeship program. Apprenticeship is also really different from other work-based learning opportunities. I totally went too far, sorry. Apprenticeship is really different from other work-based learning opportunities because it's not an internship. It's not a volunteer program. It is actually a paid job with a regular employee who has to abide by all company policies. It's not only for big companies. Small companies can employ 1, 2, or 3 apprenticeships. apprentices through one of our group sponsored programs like RTriad. And it's not only a tool for hiring people from outside of your organization, you can actually use it to upskill and reskill your existing workforce, which makes it really exciting. It's not expensive or time consuming to launch. As a long-term strategy, it's a much better investment than hiring campaigns or short-term solutions. So those are some of the myths that we've kind of tried to dispel over the last couple of years when it comes to apprenticeship. So I've mentioned a couple of benefits to businesses, but let's talk about them directly. So by using registered apprenticeships to fill your tech talent needs, you can recruit and develop a diverse, highly skilled workforce to grow your business immediately. You can hire an apprentice today through RTriad. Maybe not today, but you can join RTriad's apprenticeship program and hire an apprentice and have them working as that productive employee within a few weeks in fully skilled, competent tech worker in as little as a year. It's a structured approach to ensure that training apprentices are getting on the job is really matched with the in-demand credentials that these tech roles require. Because we work with CompTIA and we have that knowledge of the tech industry at our disposal and the research on what is going to be needed in the future, you can develop your apprenticeship program and train your apprentices in what is going to be most responsive to what your industry needs are. It's also really flexible training options that ensure that every worker has an opportunity for success, whether you are growing in your existing job or taking on a whole new role within the company. It's agile enough to be able to respond to that. It also trains very specific skills and knowledge needed at each company. So even when working with a program sponsor like RTriad, you can tweak and design and customize what your apprentice is learning on the job so that when an apprentice completes the program, they know they have a fully skilled, you have a fully skilled, competent worker and a program that helps keep employees' skills aligned with your industry changes. So best of all, I think I've mentioned before, there's actually a positive return on investment, right? So both in the direct return and in production for the dollars invested, as well as the many indirect benefits like morale and retention rates. With over 90% of apprentices retaining their employment, return on investment in the dollars that you spend on your apprenticeship program, and overall, it just benefits the community at large. So when thinking about registered apprenticeship, there's a few ways that you can use it to transform your organization. You can move from draining talent to building strong, capable teams. You can stop churning through your constant hiring, reduce your turnover, and like I said before, a couple of times, realize a positive return on investment on each hire. And you can stop worrying about how many years of experience your potential hires have and start really growing a workforce that desires to make an impact. You can stop begging your employees not to leave and really invest in them and demonstrate that you care about your employees and your company culture. Beyond just being able to upskill current employees, giving your current employees an opportunity to mentor new talent is really a great way of boosting company morale and investing in the leadership abilities of your current talent. So stop scrambling to put out fires and start using technology and your skilled workforce to innovate and grow. So our CompTIA Apprenticeships for Tech programs are really flexible and competency-based. And what we mean by that is that rather than the misperception that registered apprenticeship has to take 4 years and involves very stringent guidelines, it's really important to understand that these apprenticeship programs for tech are really reliant on, one, what is required, the knowledge required to be able to respond to the industry and the changes in the industry, and the ability to be flexible with the training so that when apprentices learn their apprenticeship or learn their skills and knowledge on the job, as well as receive their certifications, that they can move on through the apprenticeship in a pace that is supportive of the apprentice and the employer, giving them the skills and knowledge they need to be a fully qualified worker. It is really critically important that registered apprenticeship is high quality, but that does not mean that it's going to be inflexible. So apprenticeships provide structured on the job learning with the mentorship that's provided by the employer. And then they get that supplemental coursework or education, which result in the valuable industry recognized credentials But other than that, it's very flexible and it's competency-based, and we can help you design that program that works best for you, or we can help you join a group like RTriad that is the best fit for your organization. And this may seem like a lot of work, and in some cases it kind of is, but you actually might be closer than you think. Most employers have many elements of apprenticeship already in play within your company. You might be closer to launching that registered apprenticeship program or joining a registered apprenticeship program. So do you have an existing job on the job training? Do you already invest in cultural and leadership development skills for your staff? Or do you have peer-driven technical training where employees are teaching each other how to use technology? Do you offer onboarding when you employ someone? And do you have a mentorship program, whether it's formal or informal? Almost every business has some kind of way to help new staff get involved in the company culture and understand how to be successful. And you can leverage all of these things and others, such as current recruiting and assessment tools, to be successful in your registered apprenticeship. And so at AIR, we can help you understand and how closely you are and use everything you're already doing to advance your program and join or create your own apprenticeship program. So you have a couple of options when it comes to participating in apprenticeship. You can join a group program like RTriad, where they handle the design and development of the program as well as filing most of the paperwork. Or you can sponsor your own program. That gives you about 100% control of the design operation. We can at AIR can help you with that if we need to. And we've made it pretty easy for employers to design, develop, and launch that program. Tiffany is also on the call. We'll introduce her later, I think, is also there to help you with that. You get to decide what is the best investment for you. And we're really here to guide you and your apprenticeship journey. And so I encourage you to participate in apprenticeship in some way, whether it's hiring apprentices or building out your own, and finding out more about how it can be a solution to many of your talent development challenges. There are a couple of resources that I'd like to recommend if you have more interest in growing your knowledge about this. We have the CompTIA Apprenticeships for Tech website, which I'll put in the chat in a second. And then we also have a getting started guide with CompTIA Apprentices for Tech. It's a guide to creating your own apprenticeship program. Super short, sweet, gives you, the bullet points. And then if you're interested in joining an apprenticeship program like RTriad, we actually have a little resource on rapidly deploying and scaling apprenticeship. And so it helps you think about what you need to know in order to join an apprenticeship program. You can also connect with me via email. You can put something on my calendar if you want to talk more in depth about apprenticeship. And thank you all for your time. Just want to put this out here. This whole initiative is funded by the United States Department of Labor through our contracting consulting services. So always have to put this out when they fund our projects. So does anybody have any questions? I kind of ran through that real fast.
Thanks, Megan. Any questions, concerns, thoughts? It's an open discussion. We have some professionals here that can help you get started should your business desire to do so. We also have resources as well here at RTriad. So let me just share some of what we've got as well. We have our page here where you can, if your business looking to upskill and or attract new talent, you can use this link here and be able to tell us who you are. We'll make an appointment to get down and talk to you about more specifics around getting started with our employer partner capabilities. As well, Megan mentioned starting your own program. And I did want to mention that we have on the line with us Tiffany Jacobs from ApprenticeshipNC. And if you're here in North Carolina, they are an extraordinary resource. They helped us stand up our registered apprenticeship program in record time. And that was back in 2020 during the middle of the pandemic. So believe it or not, we really got some great support from them. And I'll let Tiffany just describe sort of what that might look like for an employer based on what I'm sharing on my screen. Tiffany,
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I am the regional apprenticeship coordinator for the Piedmont Triad region here in North Carolina. But Apprenticeship North Carolina, we cover all 100 counties throughout North Carolina, and we are the state agency for helping to register all apprenticeship programs throughout the state. I just want to reiterate a lot of the points that Megan made in terms of apprenticeship, because people do like to use internship and apprenticeship interchangeably, but apprenticeship is a very unique way to be able to groom and grow your own talent. And it really is a win-win for the employers that are seeking highly skilled individuals, but just can't seem to find those individuals when they are doing what I like to call fishing in that Indeed pond, right? Trying to find someone that meets our needs of their business. And so the best way that we found is to be able to groom and grow your own talent from within. And for the apprentice, it's that earn while you learn model. So they're actually paid from the start, from day one, the day that they sign as an apprentice, and they're working, but they're getting all of those necessary hands-on training and the related education specific to that occupation. And they're getting those credentials that are industry recognized, but also they're upon completion, they're getting both their state and their federal journey worker credentials. So those are recognized in all 50 states. So that's a little bit more robust than just being able to put on your resume, hey, I worked at a certain place from, what we call that born on, died on date, but you have something really robust to show that you are proficient in that occupation and that you have been trained by a subject matter expert. So all apprenticeships do have that mentorship element, right? So someone who is experienced is going to be the ones that trained you. And when Kevin and I started working together, Kevin, Clyde, and I, the first thing I did was identify the needs of RTriad. What did the company want to accomplish? What were those high demand occupations? We looked at that, and I remember like yesterday, Kevin saying he wanted to build a cloud army. And I love that. I love this idea that he wanted to build this talent for his organization. And then what would that look like? And at the time they were doing the ninja calls, and I got on and listened to some of the training and how that was happening. And as they would, say, I was, they had me at hello. I was sold on it then, and how I could customize a program to meet their needs. And since then, we've been able to grow that program by, developing it and adding additional occupations. But the main thing is just contacting us. Step one is just reaching out to Apprenticeship North Carolina if you think that this is for your company or for your organization. And I don't know many organizations that can't always use more talent. We've got a couple of things that are happening right now simultaneously. We have this, what they call the Great Resignation, or this resignation generation, but we also have a lot of baby boomers that are leaving, and retiring. And so a lot of companies don't have a succession plan. And apprenticeship helps both, right? It helps attract and bring in and retain new talent, but also it helps upskill, as Megan mentioned, and reskill talent so that they can move into those positions as others are starting to exit out of those positions. And then again, I help build that program from start to finish. So we're not reinventing the wheel or creating fire. We're starting with the basics of how you want to train your individual. This is your program. I lean on you from start to finish to start building the components, what that hands-on or competency-based checklist looks like, right? All of those things that are necessary in that occupation, the hands-on training. And then we align the related education to go along with that. what are those credentials or certifications that you're going to need to be able to successfully be employed in this occupation. And then there's a progressive wage scale. So you start at a certain amount, and then you're getting maybe an incremental bump in pay while you're in the program. And then ultimately, upon completion of the program, you will certainly make a higher rate of pay at that point. But then again, once we get all of those elements together, the program is submitted to Raleigh, to the state for approval. And once that undergoes that review process and we submit it for approval and the program is registered, then you're ready to launch the program. The good news is that RTriad's done all of that, right? So they have a standing program. So if anyone is interested in just attaching as an employer partner to their program, they can do so. There is an employer partner agreement form that you would simply fill out, and you would be able to be added to their program. Or if you have the desire to be your own registered apprenticeship sponsor, then we can help you develop that program as well. But I do seek to demystify apprenticeship. A lot of people feel like it's a heavy lift or it's a lot of paperwork involved. And I like to take a lot of that away and do a lot of the heavy lifting for the employers that I'm working with. And so that, and again, that new talent that's on the phone, on the line with us as well, that may be interested in these positions, so that we can go ahead and get them registered and get them underway and started off to a new career opportunity. I will put my contact information in the chat along with the website too for Apprenticeship North Carolina.
Thank you, Tiffany. That was very insightful. I think we have one question in the audience. Darnell, you want to ask your question?
Sure. Appreciate all the information that you provided, Tiffany and Megan. Could you also speak to some of the misconceptions that people have to actually getting started with an apprenticeship program?
Did you have, specific things? Like, I know, again, like I said, a lot of times some of the misconceptions are that, it's going to take a long time to file the paperwork, or that it's hard pulling together all of the information. Typically, I break it out in three parts, so sort of three steps. And the first thing that we do is we identify the occupation. If you already have a job description what that high demand occupation is going to be, so that we can determine what that apprenticeable occupation is going to be. And then once we've identified the occupation, I lean on you and your trainers to give me, what I call the competency-based checklist. So that's all of those tasks, all of those things that that person's going to be performing while they're on the job, and that work is going to be overseen by a mentor. Once we have sort of that comprehensive list of those tasks, then we're going to align that with what the related education or the related instruction is going to look like. We're going to determine, is that going to be done in-house? Or are you going to send that person to, let's say, community college or some sort of post-secondary institution? Where are you going to send the person to receive that training or those credentials? And then once we have all of that related education sorted out, then we would identify the wage scale. And once I have sort of all of those three components collectively, that is how we sort of build the program from start to finish. But that helps take a lot of the burden off of the individual. You're just sort of putting together it piece by piece. And so once we collect all of that, then I will put it together the way that I know that it will be accepted in order to be registered. We review all of the documents and paperwork together. So I do a lot of, walking you through the process, and I'm not just sort of leaving you out there. So, so that's one of the ways that I like to kind of take some of those myths away. But Megan, do you want to add to that?
Sure. I can completely agree that it can seem daunting because you feel like you're developing an entirely new system and program. So like Tiffany said, she makes it easier by walking you through all the steps. With AIR and CompTIA, we actually developed a set of standards on those 5 occupations I talked about that have a framework of all the on-the-job training that you would train someone on, and recommended courses for the related instruction. So you can actually take that and register as it is, because it's been reviewed by the Office of Apprenticeships, called National Guideline Standards, or you can tweak it to fit your organization. If you were creating your own apprenticeship program, like if you weren't joining RTriad, we do have a set of workshops that help you walk through the entire process, not just do the paperwork like that Tiffany said, which is she is the one who's going to help you with that, and she's going to be great at it. But really thinking about that internal program development, like how are you going to mentor? When are you going to schedule the on-the-job training? When are you schedule the coursework? We walk you through all the steps of that. How are you going to budget for your program, right? So we walk you through all of those steps. And even if you chose to join RTriad, like AIR and CompTIA are here, we support RTriad on their apprenticeship program. And so if you want it, you're like, I just don't know how to do this internally. How do we start? We would happily meet with you in RTriad to think about how you could just hire an apprentice from their program and what you needed to do internally to set that up as well. So yes, it seems daunting, but there are actually a lot of experts that can help you for no cost to you, right? Let me preface that. We do not charge for our services. Tiffany doesn't charge for hers. So we are here to help you set up your apprenticeship program however you need to do it as well.
So as an employer, I'd like to just add to some of those misconceptions, because it is a daunting task. We have enough to do as a small business owners, particularly, and the reason we actually sponsored this webcast is because it's really just unknown to you how many resources are available to help you through this process. And by the way, you're still suffering from the lack of having that talent, or even a strategy on how you're going to build that talent that you need so dearly. So that is one of the reasons we're passionate about doing this, and really helping people to demystify a lot of what's out there, or their thoughts, preconceived ideas. And as Megan mentioned earlier, really show up in a way that improves their outcomes as far as retention is concerned, as far as what Tiffany mentioned, you're losing institutional knowledge. And so having a strategy to maintain and preserve institutional knowledge that's going to retire with your baby boomers is a pretty critical factor. And what's a quick way to do that? So one of our concerns was, we love higher education. We don't dismiss it as something that's not necessary. It has its place. But for entry-level tech positions, what we were thinking is it doesn't really require a 4-year degree for most of the positions we're apprenticing for. And so we're expanding that number of positions. Currently, we have 2, and we're going to add an additional 4 before the end of the year through our partnership with CompTIA and AIR. So what we're saying is, look, let people get to work. Let them start building their career. And then as they advance in their career, they may require that advanced training. They may need a college degree to advance into managerial roles. But as a frontline technician and engineer, perhaps not. So we wanted to be competency-based, because it also doesn't restrict people to a strict timeline. They can accomplish the feats of getting certified and demonstrating their capability as quickly as they can. And that's a very important aspect for us, because when you talk about things like cybersecurity that have significant skills gaps and a lot of openings, over 750,000 here in the US, that scale of how do we fix that is just, it's a matter of national security. It's an issue that no one person is going to figure out. Not RTriad, not any of us, but we can use all the help we can get. So that's one of the reasons we're really working hard to get employers educated as to how do they protect themselves. The threats are increasing. They're becoming more pronounced. They're coming more frequently. and they're coming more broadly. Because you're a small business, you think you're excluded from cyber attacks? Wake up call. You're not. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so how to be prepared and how to be able to manage that and have adequate staff to help you through that, or contractors, whoever, we're here to help on that level too. But we really want people to understand that it's not an insurmountable problem if we break it down into smaller bites, which apprenticeship helps you do. Hope that answered your question, Bernard.
I did, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, well, Megan and Tiffany, thank you so much. I'm going to do my little commercial here for RTriad and what we have to offer. As we said, not only do we work through apprenticeship, we also work very closely with organizations on how to upskill. Uh-oh, did I just, hello, did I lose everybody?
No.
I can still hear you.
Oh, okay, my apologies. All right, my machine is acting crazy. So at RTriad.com, you can sign up for IT certification training. Again, if you don't see what's there, please contact us. We have ability to contact us right from the site. And we also focus on underrepresented communities in our work. So that would be Blacks and women, Latinx folks. And so we're building a community called No One. And No One is unique because in our many years in the IT industry, and I have several partners on the line even here now, we've spent decades in this industry. And we're very familiar with what the barriers are for underrepresented communities. And so one of the major factors we've recognized is the building of social capital. And so that's what we work on. We built a community to help people come together, know people that are in the industry, get resources, mentors. When we mention mentors, that's the center of our work because we recognize apprenticeship does not scale without mentors. Wednesday night, we'll be having a meetup at 7 p.m. and we'll be talking about that. Our own Vice President of Program Management, Clyde Brown, will be discussing how apprenticeship does not scale without mentorship. So we're building a community of mentors. And it's really exciting to know the work that's going on around designing more and more mentors. Saturday morning, we're going to have a call with our apprentices for a global mentoring group. And I'll be doing a presentation to them on apprenticeship and scaling apprenticeship, similar to what we're talking about here today. So if you're interested in those events, we have a calendar lineup here. And you can get that information by visiting our site, which I will post as well in our chat. Are there any questions there?
I just had a quick comment. So, one, I just wanted to thank RTriad for everything that you do. You mentioned No One and underrepresented populations, and I'd be remiss without saying that one of the things that registered apprenticeship aims to do is level the playing field, right? In terms of there are, BIPOC individuals, Black and Indigenous people of color, and women are vastly underrepresented in many industry sectors, but tech and IT certainly. And you have really worked hard to break that barrier, to allow access to opportunity. And so we need more employers like yourself out there exposing individuals, to these occupations and these career pathways, because representation matters, and we know that. And we also know that mentorship is important, but taking away those barriers for those individuals and allowing them the opportunity, it widens the talent pool, right? So we're not all clamoring for the same individuals, the same kinds of individuals, and that when we're troubleshooting and problem solving, we know that different come from, helps in all of that. That diversity is a prerequisite for innovation, and we need more of that. So I certainly want to thank RTriad for leading the charge in that. But for any employers that are out there looking to diversify your workforce, apprenticeship is a great way to do that as well. So so thank you for what the work that you're doing there also. It really is making a difference.
Thank you, Tiffany. Appreciate your kind words. So before we close out, is there any other questions that anyone has? Right. Well, if not, we want to thank you all for joining. We really appreciate the support. We're looking forward to engaging you at your needs and making sure that we partner with everyone that's interested in solving this problem. So thank you so much.
Talk to you later, Kev.
All right. Thank you.